Hello. Welcome to the third episode of the Comlink Cheddar podcast. This episode, we will be going over the first story arc of the Republic comics, Prelude to Rebellion.
These are my guests, if you guys would like to introduce yourselves.
Go ahead, Brennan.
I'm Brennan, also known as Quinlan Voss, and I'm really honored to be here.
Same, and I'm Magnano Alex. I do reviews on a couch.
Is it as colorful as Dylan's couch from the
Unfortunately
Legends podcast?
not. Unfortunately not. It's gray, and
It's
I do
not
it.
bright
Okay.
yellow.
No, unfortunately not.
I do
Maybe in
have
the
a
future.
yellowish couch
Yeah.
in my room, but it's covered with stuff, or I would sit in it. Just
Oh. Yeah.
Anyway, so today we're going to be going through. They're one of the first comic story arcs that I had read whenever I had gotten into the expanded universe, and so here's kind of the story of how I got into the comic books. I was bored, and I was just, I think, driving around, and then I saw that I had a local comic book store. So I went in there, and this was, I think, in like 2017, and they had a bunch of Dark Horse comics, and they were like 50 cents. I think I bought them all up. Yeah,
Nice.
the guy that sold them to me, he really regrets selling me. I think maybe I got them for a quarter for some of them too. I
How
don't
many
know.
overall were they? I assume they were all single issues.
Yes, they were. I picked up, I think he had the complete set of Darth Maul, Prelude to Rebellion, the Mara Jade comic book series.
Oh, very nice.
I think it was the Golden Age of the Sith.
Okay.
And these were all single issues. And then there were a bunch of just, I think, like random Republic.
Right.
I don't know if I didn't pick up any of the clone. No, I think I might have gotten a few of the Clone Wars ones, like the Republic Clone Wars.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm really glad that I got those. And then now, of course, I have the like the Epic collection as well, just to kind of have something to read, because lugging around the single issues. Now, what do you guys prefer to read your comics on, and or books? Like physical, single? Sorry.
Yeah, I definitely prefer physical to digital. Just because I like to feel the pages, there's nothing better than cracking open a comic book and smelling the printed pages. I just think that's really a nostalgic feeling. The single issues are fun to collect, but it's very hard, like you said, flipping from one to the other. So the Epic collections are pretty good for being collections of it. It's easier to read that way, easier to put on a shelf. Some of the hardcover omnibuses are a little challenging because they're pretty bulky. It's hard to read those. The Dark Horse omnibuses are pretty small, so it's harder to read them. My favorite is actually the Dark Horse trade paperbacks that would only collect 5 or 6 issues, because it's really light in your hands and it still feels like you're reading a book. I really like to read them that way.
Yeah. What do you think, Alex?
I'm pretty much of the same opinion. I think single issues are a bit, too much to handle. But I mean, if you started doing that and you have all of them, that's fine. But I don't think nowadays it's a good idea to track them down. It's too expensive and unnecessary. I say just get the Epic collections or the omnibuses.
Yeah.
However, if you need to save money, which is kind of where I'm at right now, getting it on Kindle is not a bad move either. Kindle provides the option of kind of making it a little bit more cinematic, where if you double click on a panel, then you can swipe through and it will zoom in on the panel. So you get a real nice close up of that. That's not the way I prefer to do it. I prefer just having a physical copy. But if you're short on money and, because it's still expensive whether you get it on Kindle or not, but it's going to be more expensive buying a physical copy. So if money is an issue, then I say get the Epic collections on Kindle.
I haven't. Sorry. I've got some of them on my Kindle, and then I've got some of them physical copies, and I think I have collected all of the easy to get category of Star Wars comics because a few years ago they had a huge sale on Comixology.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, and it was like 90% off. I don't remember the exact.
Yeah.
And I was like, this can't be real. And I picked up, I think they were the digital versions of the Dark Horse omnibuses, and they were like less than $5 each.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and I like that the cinematic way of it. Now it does sometimes slow me down, especially when it's like I'm reading the original Marvel comics.
Oh, very nice.
And they put a lot of words in that.
Yes,
I don't know. Have you guys read them?
Yeah.
Yes, I have.
It feels almost like reading a picture book almost because
of
how much there is to read.
Yeah. I just finished I think it was annual #1.
Okay.
Or I recently, that's the last one I remember reading. And that had to do with the Skywalkers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I started reading it and I was like, wait a minute, this species looks like the one from the unreleased novel or novella. And now I'm excited to read that. Have you guys read that?
I have. I
the
printed out a
physical one?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's a contradiction in the original comic book because they say that Darth Vader and Luke's father and Obi-Wan went down to the planet because George hadn't decided that Vader was Luke's father at this point in time. So Abel G. Pena wrote Skywalkers, the novella that was released online as like an ebook, to explain that contradiction away. So he literally wrote a book just to smooth out the continuity, which is great. I love that.
Wonderful. Yeah, it's one of my favorite things about the expanded universe when they do that.
Absolutely. I believe I was reading up on it because it kind of opened a can of worms about like some. I think it opened a can of worms about a different Jedi Academy, separate than the Coruscant one, and there was a Jedi, that extra Jedi that he added in. I think wasn't it just like out of the promotional material? Wasn't it just a picture of the author?
Yeah, it was. So the Jedi was Halagad Ventor. Halagad Ventor actually goes back to the West End Games source books and source material. I think he's in a couple short stories, but he didn't have a visual depiction of him. So they took a picture of the author and had an art piece done where like the author's likeness was used for Halagad Ventor, the Jedi there.
Yeah, Brennan actually just recently, at least at the time of your recording, released a video about that very topic.
Oh, really? I haven't seen that yet then.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out.
Thanks.
So, what have you guys been reading?
Alex?
Well, I just got done with, what did I just read in the, hold on a second. Because right now I took a break from Star Wars to read a Dune trilogy.
Ooh.
But yeah, because I'm also into Dune.
Okay.
But the last thing I read was Planet of Twilight, and then I also read Crimson Empire 3. So
okay, all right.
When I get back, I'll be reading Black Fleet Crisis, New Rebellion, and the Corellian trilogy.
Nice. Okay.
For the second time.
I recently went through the abridged version of the Corellia trilogy. Eventually I'd like to get to the unabridged version, but that was all the time that I had because I wanted to kind of rush into New Jedi Order. Yeah,
that's fair. I really like the Corellian trilogy. I think that Thraken Sao Solo is an absolutely fantastic villain. And I love that it kind of plays on the evil twin trope
Yeah.
Even though it's
Yeah.
a cousin, but I really enjoy it though. I think it's a solid trilogy.
I would have
No.
really loved if they'd made a movie of the Corellian trilogy and then put Harrison Ford in a beard and had him try to
Yes.
play the evil Thrakensaw Solo. That would have been terrific.
It would have been
Yeah.
so funny.
He looks like the depictions of that character
Yeah,
now, which
Yeah.
is kind of
Now
neat.
he does, yeah.
The
Or at
artist
least
did
he
a good
did.
job then.
Mhm.
Yeah, at least he did for the Force Awakens.
Well, he might have had a beard in the New Jedi Order, but I think in Corellian trilogy he just had like a white mustache, which
Yeah.
is like
Yeah.
the literal thing of just having like a duplicate of you but with a mustache, and I thought that was so funny.
That's funny. What are you reading, Brendan?
So I got into the expanded universe in 2017, and it took all the way until 2022 to where I'd read every EU adult novel, most
Ooh.
of the young readers' novels, and about 70 to 80% of the comics. I missed some of the short comics here and there, but now for my YouTube channel, I'm going back and reviewing everything in chronological order. So I'm doing like
Yes.
rereads where I read in complete chronological order according to my own personal timeline list, and I've been having a really fun time. And I just got done with Tales of the Jedi Redemption, rereading that,
Right.
and it's so good.
It is
It's
such
terrific.
a good comic. But yeah,
And
Brendan
I'm about
is
to.
taking me to
I'm
school with all the stuff that he's showing, because there's stuff there I didn't even know existed. So
Yeah, I was.
I'm.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. I was just gonna say I'm about to be going into the Knights of the Old Republic comic books. Is my next thing to be rereading.
Ooh,
oh
nice.
boy, Zane Garrick.
I-
There's something coming up with me and Marcel later, the Revanchist. So
Oh, nice.
that's all. Yeah, involving KOTOR. So
Very nice. I'm reading right now. I had just finished Dark Tide 2 from the New Jedi Order.
Nice.
And I don't remember what it's called, but it's the first one of the James Luceno duology.
right.
Agents of Chaos.
Yes,
Yeah.
the first one.
The
I
first
started
one
that.
is so good.
Oh my goodness. That's actually what got me to want to dive into the holiday special, like the special edition that I'm
Yeah.
editing together, because I just
Yeah.
saw that the I guess the relationship between Chewbacca and his family. It just
Yeah.
made me sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about the.
Sorry. Go ahead.
One thing I love about the expanded universe is because the holiday special was pretty much universally rejected as soon as it came out. Now, I like it. I've seen it 11 times, and I enjoy it every time. But people hated it. So the EU could have shied away from that, right? When Chewbacca died, they could have just had a different family with different names. But instead, they stuck and were consistent and had the same characters from the holiday special. They're mourning his loss in the New Jedi Order, which is just... It's mind-blowing that they didn't shy away from it, but embraced it. I just think that's so cool.
Yeah. That's one thing I absolutely love about it too, is just the fact that no matter how silly things get or whatever, that it's going to be in continuity. And it's just something that no other franchise has really tried to do. And so it's just something incredible about the EU that I can't find anywhere else.
Yeah. I've been kind of obsessing about getting this editing stuff done. Oh, sorry. That's my brother. I don't know if you could pick that up. He just came home.
It's okay.
Here, 1 second. Let me let him know that I'm recording.
Brennan, the S tier list.
I don't understand.
Yeah. I mean, Marcel deserved to be on there too, but it wasn't my list, so.
Yeah, he did. I'm thinking that I'm going to do a list using it.
No, you're just going to put us all on S tier, which is wrong.
Well, I'm going to put you and Marcel there for sure.
No. That's not what you should do. We're still recording. It's funny.
I think you'll edit this probably.
Yeah, probably. But still.
I love the Crimson Empire profile pic. That's such great art.
It's great. It is great.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm back. I was watching one of the I was at a thrift store and I found a DVD for some of the lost episodes of Doctor Who, the classic Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And I was giving that a watch while I was doing some editing. And my brother and his friends were like, "What is this?"
I love Doctor Who.
Who's your favorite Doctor?
We're talking about the classic era or New Who?
I'm mainly familiar with the New Who.
Well, out of New Who, I'll say Matt Smith.
Okay.
And out of the old, I would say the second Doctor, Patrick Troughton.
Okay, that's actually
followed by close second of the fourth Doctor, Tom Baker.
Okay. It was the second Doctor. That's what episodes I was watching. It was
hanging out with Jamie, the Scottishman.
I just watched the first episode. I think I'm not familiar with the companions characters right now. I just started.
Well, Jamie's really obvious because he has a skirt on because it's the Scottish skirt.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Jamie and him have a great relationship. It's great.
Oh, nice.
As soon as you say Scottish, I'm in because I obviously don't have an accent anymore, but I was born in Scotland. My family's Scottish. That is not a Scottish accent, Alex. You should be ashamed of yourself.
I can't do one.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it, but I can put one on.
Please try.
Sometimes. I'm not gonna do it on the air. I might do it afwords. But
okay.
But yeah, I was born in Scotland, so as soon as you say Scottish, I'm in. I can't wait to get into Doctor Who.
Well, don't worry, Brendan, because don't do it in chronological order because literally you can't even find certain episodes of the early seasons because they're lost to history. So just watch New Who, and if you like that, then go back and watch old.
There was a fire that destroyed the records. Yeah.
Well, because here's the thing: back in the day, they're like, no one's gonna like some silly sci-fi show, so we're not gonna preserve it. So there's literally just episodes that are gone and lost that will never recover now.
And now there's a fan base of like 50 plus years that absolutely would have loved to see all of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's almost 60 years now.
Yeah. It was before Star Wars. Like the Daleks and stuff. R2-D2 looks like the Daleks.
Was
it pre-Star Trek too?
Yeah. It was, or maybe not. It was in early 1960s.
I think. Because the earlier episodes...
the first couple seasons were early 1960s.
Yeah.
It was still in black and white. When Star Trek started, it was already in color.
Yeah, Star Trek was 66.
66.
Wow. Star Trek was 66, yeah.
Oh, one moment. Keep talking.
Yeah, the earlier episodes were in black and white. At least the first two Doctors.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
Okay. The first episode of Doctor Who ever was aired on November 23rd, 1963, 3 years prior to Star Trek.
Wow, that's crazy.
Wow. That's crazy. I really enjoy. I haven't seen a whole lot of the classic Who, but my gateway into it would be it was David Tennant,
who's Scottish
Doctor. Yes, who's Scottish.
Thumbs up for that.
Woo!
You've seen Marvel, Brendan, so you know about Kilgrave.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was in Doctor Who first.
Right.
Now he was in Jessica Jones, right? Was that?
Yes, he was in Jessica Jones. Yes.
Okay, I haven't seen that yet.
He's a bad guy in that one. Jessica. Yes. I can't do his voice, but you know he likes to shout.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've seen some of the clips of it, but that's something I like whenever the different Doctors show up in superhero movies, because I think all of the classic Who, not classic Who,
New Who have Peter Capaldi.
Matt
Peter
Smith
Capaldi
was in Morbius, right?
Morbius,
yes,
not the best thing to be in, but David Tennant has not been in a Marvel movie, but he was in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was Wormtongue, or not Wormtongue. He was the guy that moved his
Barty
tongue around
Crouch
a lot.
Jr..
Barty Crouch Jr. There we go. Yeah. And then Christopher Eccleston was the main elf bad guy in Thor: The Dark World.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. He was
Yeah.
Ma something. It began with an M.
Something. And Peter
Yeah.
Capaldi was the Brainiac in or the Thinker, sorry, in the Suicide Squad movie.
Yes. Which was a great movie as well.
On the Star Wars.
Sorry, I'm hooking up some headphones.
It's okay.
Hello. Okay.
Hello.
So going to the comics,
Yes.
which one would you guys like to start with? Do you want to start with Darth Maul, or do you want to start with Prelude to Rebellion?
Well, chronologically and release date wise, Prelude to Rebellion is first.
I was
Okay.
gonna say the same.
All right. So what do you guys think of the first issue? So just kind of a story update, or like what's going on in it, is that the people of his world want to join the Republic, with and get updated technology and all of those things, but Ki-adi-mundi wants to preserve everything.
Right.
What do you guys think of that concept, or just the general thoughts of it?
Sorry. Go ahead.
One thing I'd like to point out is that in all of the issues of Prelude to Rebellion, there was a B story in the back called Vow of Justice.
Yes.
That chronologically takes place after Prelude to Rebellion, but in the back of every issue of Prelude to Rebellion, there was a little bit of that like B story.
Yes.
Wasn't that a prequel?
Actually, it takes place after.
I thought it was with Ki-adi-mundi younger.
In the omnibus, it takes place after. They might have that wrong. I'll have to check my timeline.
No, because I'm fairly certain the B story that's like only a couple pages long in every issue is like Ki-adi-mundi's origin.
Yeah, he's a kid.
Yes.
You're right. He's
yeah,
a kid.
It starts off with him as a kid and then a teenager. So yeah, I think it is takes place before the. Yeah,
it's the prelude to Prelude of Rebellion.
Yes, the prelude. What do you?
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go, you go ahead. What were we gonna say?
Do you guys have any thoughts about that? I didn't put any notes down for that, but I did reread it whenever I went through it. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I thought his like kind of upbringing was really interesting. It was really interesting getting to see his species like sort of like society and how that all worked and what Ki-adi-mundi went through. But one thing that really stuck out to me throughout all 6 issues is the fact that he's married. That was big.
Yes,
the Jedi. Yeah.
Yes, because to me it helped show the hypocrisy of the Jedi. Because I know the reason they allowed it. He was the exception because
the low birth rates for Syrians. Yeah.
But still, to me, it was like, I'm reading this, I'm going, what a bunch of hypocrites. Like every single second I'm reading this comic, even though, it has really nothing to do about the Jedi Order itself, I'm thinking, look at Ki-adi-mundi, who's pretty much like a pretty good Jedi with almost no like faltering of the dark side except from when he was younger. And here you have a walking, talking example. Someone you have not all. And they have the rules for everybody else. I get why they made the exception. Sorry.
You're breaking up a little bit, Alex. You're going robot, so you might need to restate that.
Sorry. What was the last thing you heard?
We heard the hypocrisy of the Jedi. You have a walking, talking Jedi like Ki-adi-mundi who's good, who didn't fall to the dark side except when he was younger, and you were gonna continue on.
So it's just you have this from you, and they never thought to reform some of their rules.
What's interesting to me is later Anakin talks about Ki-adi-mundi a little bit. I can't remember the book. I think it's in it's where?
No prisoners.
I think it was Wild Space.
It might have been there where he was like talking about Ki-adi-mundi as an example of a Jedi who's married, and he was like, why can't I be? basically,
Yeah.
is the point he was making. And it's interesting that they explained that this was before George Lucas had even decided that the Jedi wanted no attachments, because I think this was pre them discussing that in Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, if I
Right.
recall correctly. So they didn't know at the time. So then they had to have this explanation that the Syrians have such low birth rates. But it's also really interesting that the society is like a polygamous society.
Yeah.
That really makes them feel alien, and it really stuck out to me as being kind of odd, because not only is he married to one wife, but he has like 3 or 4 wives throughout it, and it instantly, like, the whole time I'm reading it, I'm feeling so awkward for him, because like his wives are worried about which wife is the favorite, and there's just it's very interesting because there's like some competition.
It seemed to show like why polygamy is wrong, because like it showed throughout like the wives weren't happy.
Yeah.
I thought was interesting.
We almost need a reality show on TLC about Mundy's sister wives or whatever.
My wives don't matter, but what about the droid attack on the Wookiees?
The Real Housewives of Ki-adi-mundi.
He's too worried about the droid attack on the Wookiees, so
to worry about his wives.
Yeah, they're like, he doesn't care about us.
Yeah, he's an absent father and husband. He's too concerned about the Wookiees.
Yeah.
Maybe when they get mad at him, they say, "Why do you care about Wookiees so much and not us?"
You like the Wookiees so much, why don't you marry them?
We need someone needs to make a fan film of this, and everyone have prosthetic heads.
Like the Conehead movie.
Yes.
I'd pay to see it.
I think that the concept of, well, not only him being a husband of several wives, but also a father, and also with the concept of all of his wives kind of want to be able to give birth to a son. And that's something that, you know, he eventually comes to terms with later, but that was something that he really wanted. Throughout this, or I guess throughout his whole life, because they were
carry on the family legacy, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think they even touch on it in the prequel about how people would kidnap males.
Yeah.
And I really liked that concept, because if you think about it, like the stronger person could have more sons and then more of a dynasty and things like that.
Yeah, that was really fascinating.
Syrian society seems to be very competitive, centered around this. It's definitely not a society I would want to grow up in, because of just all the scheming and the literal trafficking of males to try to strengthen your bloodlines. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah. So to continue with the first issue, we go to, there's a smuggler. I'm not sure what kind of species he is. The names and pronouncing the names, like I have his name right here, but I'm like, how do you pronounce that? So he's smuggling in technology for the rebels on the planet, because in their society, the entire planet is free of technology. I mean, they're kind of, it sounds like they're very, very much like Amish. They don't have technology. They don't have all these vehicles. They ride.
They have some, but
yeah, I mean, they have a few, but it's not.
Yeah. It's not
like Coruscant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of Dune, actually.
Oh yeah.
Because Dune is the whole thing is not using technology because of machines in the past, and it's a very similar sort of concept.
It's kind of cool because instead of vehicles, they ride around on like these bird things, which I thought was really cool.
They look like ostriches or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
And one thing about the smuggler is his name is Effin Mon, correct?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he is a Chevin, and he was first in Return of the Jedi. So this is a much younger guy. He's in
version of
Jabba's
him.
palace later.
Whoa,
So
really?
he's
Yeah.
like
I
way
didn't know
younger
that.
here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay,
you can
oh,
see in
man.
like episode 6. There's like this big elephant-looking thing. That's him.
Yes.
And there's a huge short story dedicated to him in Tales from Jabba's Palace as well. It's one of my favorites.
Really? Oh,
Mhm.
this is really a prelude then.
Yes. This is probably the
And
only
that makes
decided bit
sense.
of him. Sorry.
Oh, that makes sense because I mean, he has a relationship with Jabba, as we can see later in this issue.
Yeah. So the thing about, I won't spoil the Tales from Jabba Palace short story. It does establish that him and Jabba have been friends for a really long time.
And this
Like one of the
comic
few
shows that.
genuine friends that Jabba has.
Man, the expanded universe is just amazing. Like it
Yeah.
continues to blow my mind the amount of detail that they put into it.
Yeah.
Like they could
Like-
have done any smuggler, right? But they decided to specifically take the one from Return of the Jedi and show the friendship that he has with Jabba.
Yeah.
Like going back all these years to when they were both younger. Like it's wild. It's really
Yeah.
It
wild.
wasn't
They could have done
necessary, but they
any
put the effort
smuggler.
in.
Yeah, they could have just done any old smuggler, but they specifically did one to make a connection. And just they didn't have to do that, but they did for fans like us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So after this, well, how do you pronounce his name again?
I believe it's
Mon.
Effin Mon.
Ethan Mon?
Because he looks like an elephant.
Yes, I just put that together. So he's supporting these the younger I guess the younger generation
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
because they're wanting the technology. They want the speeder bikes. They want all of these things.
Right.
And there's a I'm assuming he's a human speaker there. And this is where Ki-adi-mundi kind of intervenes, and they have a debate, and
Right.
they're kind of, I guess, showing their true colors. Especially his daughter. His daughter was there.
Yeah.
Because I believe he goes to look for her. And so they kind of start a riot there. And then they take away his lightsaber, which while reading this, I'm just like, oh my gosh, just like force push him a little bit or something.
Yeah.
Because his daughter's boyfriend picks up the lightsaber and accidentally kills somebody. And then there's a whole, they made it look like he killed him and all that stuff. What do you guys think of all that?
If I remember correctly, the older generation who don't want technology use that as like a rallying point and an example of why they shouldn't have technology.
Right. I think so.
I think that was brought up at some point in it. Like, because the older generation want to say, like, kind of Amish in their ways. And like you mentioned, Brady, the younger generation want the speeder bikes and all the new technology. And I thought this was really interesting that they like made it a case of the new younger generation versus the older generation. This is something we see in real life. Society changes, and the younger generation often thinks they know better than the older generation, right? And wants to push something and change something that they perceive to be better. And, often the younger generation is more immature and they're not thinking things through all the way. But then at the same time, the older generation isn't completely blameless because they're more staunch against this change. So I thought that was a really interesting story point to set up. And then I was really surprised when they set up this whole, it turns into like a manhunt for Ki-adi-mundi's daughter's boyfriend, because he's in way over his head. And we just see it like spiral out of control for him to where you really feel for him by the end of it. Because like he's way in over his head. And the friends that he has are like not the best friends. And they're influencing him, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
As they're like hiding out.
Yeah. I mean, I think the beginning of the second issue, I mean, Mundi gets off the hook pretty quickly, or at least according to the comic. And then he goes home and then he sees that some food was stolen. And like he goes and does the Jedi thing of investigating and all that stuff. which is interesting. And they of course broke in with swoop bikes.
Yeah, the effing Mon
Right.
got to them, right?
Yeah. You can kind of see how like his influence on basically it turning the world to where he can make money. You
Yeah.
can see that. And then Mundi goes and investigates, and then he goes to the Max Rebo
Right.
species. What are they
Yeah,
called?
the Ortolan.
Yes. He goes and investigates that, which I liked that. I liked the inclusion of them.
I think Ortolans are always just so funny visually that I just love when they pop up.
Yes.
The Clone Wars micro series from 2003 by Jendi Tartakovsky has
I
an
was going to say
Ortolan
that.
who's a Jedi. It has a shot of him like watching clone troopers march by, and then there was some tie-in material that explained that he's a Jedi, and I just thought it's so funny
Really?
to picture a blue, floppy-haired little proboscis nose guy who's a Jedi.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the weirdest Jedi I've seen. I mean, there was the Hutt from the Callista trilogy.
Beldorian, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Dark Jedi, but yes.
Well, yes, Dark Jedi.
To be fair, the only official art we have, he looks fat, but in the description, he's supposed to be one of a very more muscular Hutt than most.
Oh
so.
yeah. Oh
But
yeah.
it's still silly to me. It's still stupid
Yes.
to me, but I love
Yeah.
it anyway.
The other weird Jedi we have is this little subtopic. Ikrit is like
Oh,
a
yes.
bunny rabbit
Right,
from
the
Junior
little
Jedi
bunny guy.
Knights.
Love
And
him.
then there's also Uru, who's essentially a brain with tentacles and elf ears from Tales
Right,
of the
and-
Jedi.
Yes,
Who's in a vat. So
Yeah.
there's some pretty funny Jedi out there. I guess there could be an
Speaking of
Ortolan.
Jedi, there's a dinosaur one that's on all fours. Love him as well. I forget his name
Um,
always.
Thawne.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Thawne's awesome.
He is.
I remember being a kid and my mom would read me the Junior Jedi Knights.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I was just, my mind was blown that there was this little rabbit that was a Jedi. I was like, how does it hold a lightsaber? Well, as I researched more, I realized that it's not all about the lightsabers.
Yeah.
But I haven't gotten to Edge of Victory yet because I know he's in that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And my mom had read a few of the books to me as a kid, but then I went through as an adult and read them because I think I was listening to the abridged audio book, and he shows up, and I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna have to read these books. And so then I finally found them after spending so much for them.
The Junior Jedi Knight books are so expensive. I'm missing one, and the one I'm missing is the most expensive one. It's like $70 for one book. It's insane.
Which one is it?
It's number 6.
Oh, see, I think I got that one cheaper. But
man, nice.
Anakin's Quest, I think I spent $40. Because I think it was.
This is why Lucasfilm needs to make a Kindle version of them. That's easier
Yes.
to access.
Oh yeah, and maybe